Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I finished these fights.
Give me a hell yeah.
Top Rope Nation.
Learn to love it. It's the best thing going today.
Boys, it is time to excellently execute another Top Rope Nation draft. Months and months of I just thought of that one. Months and months of anticipation for this one. Literally, we started talking about doing this Bret Hart fantasy draft. When was it? Probably January, and we kept delaying it. We were going to do it at one point in March, kind of to coincide with the 25-year anniversary of WrestleMania 12 and the Iron Man match. Then we pushed it back to coincide with the A&E biography, and then they switched the air date on us. So now, finally, the A&E bio on Bret Hart airs this Sunday. So we thought, finally, we can do it. It's the Bret Hart fantasy draft. And if you've been tuning in to Top Rope Nation for a while, you know we've done several of these fantasy drafts going back to, last summer. We did a Ric Flair's fantasy draft, an Undertaker fantasy draft, SummerSlam's greatest matches, we did a WrestleMania's greatest matches. Well, tonight it's time for the Hitman. And so as I introduce everyone, and by the way, we have a special guest with us on the line tonight. As I introduce you all, I want to ask you, what are your earliest memories of Bret Hart? And when did you start to take notice of him? And do you have a favorite Bret Hart moment? So I'm going to throw it first to Mr. Kyle Ross, the longtime sidekick of Top Rope Nation. Kyle, how's it going? And your earliest Hitman memories?
How's it going? I think I let you guys know earlier via text. Rode a bike for the second time in about 25 years yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, I'm playing hurt. My taint is bruised. Okay? I mean, it's uncomfortable sitting here. But
Buddy, Bret Hart finished a match with a broken sternum one time. You can do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to. Damn it.
It's the taint pod.
Yeah, the taint. There we go. Yeah. All right, regain composure. That was a good one. Earliest or fondest Bret Hart memory? I don't know what the answer is. I feel I'm kind of the fourth wheel in the fandom of this man. As you know, I'm not a fan of any wrestler. I'm just a fan of good wrestling.
It's true.
But I did look through some old WWF magazines that I had in the thing. And what do we have here? The famous
No way.
Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Tale of the Tape for a match that never happened. Why do I show you that? So I'm going to bring this up closer to the screen. Hopefully you can read this near 13-year-old's handwriting. Who was my prediction?
Bret Hart.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yes, I found that. So,
guys, if you're listening to the podcast feed, you got to check this out on YouTube, the video version, to see that. Very nice, Kyle. Mm-hmm. Justin, I mean, we've known each other for a long time. I know you grew up a Bret Hart fan, but tell us your Hitman backstory, earliest memories of watching him, favorite moment. What do you got for us?
Would have been the Hart Foundation, and he just stood out. If only because he was smaller than everybody, but he just was so much better in the ring than everybody. And everything he did was just so much more crisp and real looking compared to all the other wrestlers. And he, even way back then, around 89, 90, and leading into his run with the championship, he just always had an aura of just being cool, the coolest guy in the room. And that just, I clung to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we met around 2001, we had a lot of Bret Hart conversations. I remember from the early days. Yeah. So joining us on the pod tonight, this is actually his second appearance on Top Rope Nation. I met him at the Tragos Thez Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and we very quickly bonded, not over, of course, pro wrestling, but our love for the career of Bret the Hitman Hart. And so when I was looking for someone to go into the guest chair for a Bret Hart draft, he was the obvious pick for this. And so Mr. Ryan Huffman, again, you grew up a Bret Hart fan like all of us. What are your earliest memories?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Big fan. My biggest memories probably go back to 1995. That's when I started watching wrestling kind of for the second time. And he was really the guy, obviously was a a fan favorite at the time. And I can remember when my parents asked me like some memorabilia or t-shirts, I can remember getting a Bret Hart t-shirt and glasses combo. So those are my first memories. We'll talk about some of the matches obviously tonight. And then some of my best memories as an adult I've gotten to actually meet Bret Hart probably about 3 or 4 different occasions, as you have as well, through the Tragos Thez Hall of Fame, and also ran into him in New Orleans during WrestleMania 30 weekend. So just a big fan, really, really happy to be here. If I was ever born to do a podcast episode, it would probably be this one. So.
Well, we'll see if you take home the victory. The way we do these is we'll post the results over on twitter.com. We'll open the poll up to everybody. Maybe we'll do it in our Facebook group too and kind of combine the votes. And I think all of us have won at least one draft now throughout the history of the show. So we'll see who comes out on top. But I think you'll have a pretty good shot just by your fandom.
Yeah.
Sure.
Has the guest ever won, though?
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember.
Or did Liam win SummerSlam?
I was going to say no, I don't think Liam won. But I think one of the early ones, a guest did win.
I think one of them. I
won Ric Flair.
Maybe the Taker one, perhaps, or he was right in. That was Alfred, right? I think he was right in it. I think I might have won Taker, but he was like within a couple of votes, maybe, or something. It was very, very close, I think.
And Justin won the last one, the WrestleMania one.
Yeah.
In my mind, I won all of them.
What I said about me?
That's right.
I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
There it is.
And when it comes to these votes, frustrated ain't the goddamn word for it. This is bullshit.
What a great promo. What a great promo. Yeah, my earliest memories of Bret Hart, my 2 earliest favorite wrestlers were Jake Roberts and Bret Hart. Jake Roberts because he had the snake, even though now I'm terrified of snakes. And Bret just because of the sunglasses, from what I remember. And the first wrestling show I ever went to, which I have zero memory of, and I went back and looked at the results, he was actually on the show. It was in July of 1986 in Waterloo, Iowa. No memories of that. I think my earliest memories of actually watching him probably would have been late 80s when I would watch wrestling with my dad. And then I would kind of watch wrestling in and out, as I've talked about on the show in the early 90s, but like 95, just like Huffman, that's kind of when I really got back into wrestling hardcore, would watch it every single week. And Bret had, won the title then from Diesel, and then the build into the Iron Man match. That's what really hooked me. And I became just a gigantic fan of Bret Hart. And then, of course, he left right after that, which I think made me an even bigger fan, right? Because I was wanting to see him come back for, it seemed like years, even though it was only, 8 months or something. It seemed forever in my, 13-year-old or whatever, 12-year-old mind at the time. So that made me an even bigger fan. I think my favorite memories of Bret, though, is the Hart Foundation era in 97, and also having some beers with him in the summer of 2008, him and Roddy Piper here in Waterloo for a few hours. That was tough to beat. Bret was one of the nicest wrestlers I've ever met. Super chill guy, awesome to talk to. The dream is to have him on the podcast, so maybe someday they'll book that. But for now, we're talking about his career. So before we get to it, if you're listening on the podcast feeds, if you like this show, please leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts. It's been quite a while, actually, since we've had a new review. We always read them on the air. We'd love to hear some kind words about the show over on Apple Podcasts. And of course, hit subscribe. Follow us on Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, wherever podcasts are found. Check out topropenation.com for more information on the show. And as I mentioned, this is on video as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/topropenation. So the way this draft is going to work, I did a list randomizer to do our order of the draft. It's going to go Kyle, myself, Justin, and then Ryan Huffman, and then it will snake back. So we're going to have 5 rounds. So in all, 20 picks. The creme de la creme of Bret Hart's career we will be discussing tonight. And we're going to start out with Kyle going number 1. And just for no reason in particular, just mere coincidence, I'm going to crack open a Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA, which Ryan Huffman gave me. And go ahead, Kyle. Take us away. What's your number 1 overall pick?
Well, to the surprise of absolutely no one, it will be the same match that I picked number 1 in our WrestleMania draft. Yes. Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. When I picked it number 1 in that last draft, I said it was the greatest match in WWF history, and nothing has changed since then. If I may say something, though, that kind of relates more Bret specific. Obviously, that match is the one that launched Steve Austin into the stratosphere. We all know that. But Bret's performance in that should not be overlooked or underrated by any means. I think his character work in turning heel, his actions after the match, just absolutely incredible. You heard the boos. Love that line from Vince. And then the promo the next night. Honest to God, as good a promo as I've ever heard in the history of professional wrestling. But in making this pick, again, it's the best match in history. That should be enough to justify it, I think. But I'll let you guys get a little sneak peek at my board here. My top 9 matches, 8 of them are actually him wrestling 4 guys twice.
Oh.
And when I look at those 4 pairs, there's 2 of them I don't really actually have a strong feeling which one is better than the other. The other 2 I do. And I think in the case of the Austin pair, I'd really have to hear a compelling argument to convince me that the Survivor Series match is on the same plane as the WrestleMania match. I think it's the one that not just all 4 of us, but wrestling fans everywhere would agree. If you're looking at a tandem against the same opponent, one is clearly better than the other. So yeah, Bret and Austin, Mania 13, the number 1 pick in the Bret Hart draft.
I'd love to get Huffman's take, memories of this match, or anything you want to say about it, because we've all talked about this one. We talked about our WrestleMania fantasy draft quite a bit. Iconic match. It's my favorite match of all time. Obviously knew Kyle would pick it. I agree with Kyle. Best match in WWE history. Justin is pretty much, I think, along the same lines. So Huffman, what's your take on WrestleMania 13?
I would say for me, that's really the match that kicked off the Attitude Era. Maybe that's too far out there, but I think that would be if you had any kickoff point. My fondest memories, I would say, of this match was we actually tried to get tickets to it back when I was like probably a little middle schooler, and that was pre StubHub era, and was pretty much impossible. But it's a match that I would say at least once a year I will get out and watch. But as a middle schooler trying to figure out why your hero has turned, but it's funny because I stuck with them, because I always pictured when Bret kind of said those mean things that I was, at least when he talked about the loyal ones, I felt like he was talking to me. So
you can just say you were anti-American.
as I teach U.S. history.
Yes. When you get to the year 97, you do a little side unit about the Hart Foundation.
Yeah, but that match though. I mean, you guys, I'm sure have all watched it several times. Really, just like a very well put together match. It felt like just almost like a car crash, where just nonstop action from start to finish. I mean, I think it's only about a 24-minute match, maybe, but just a great match. That would be my number 1 pick as everybody's. So
we should never say only when it comes to a 24-minute match.
Yeah.
In 2021.
Yeah.
Was Huffman the guy holding the "I still believe Bret" 2 T's Bret
Yes.
sign the night after Mania? Remember that? The guy, he still believed him, but didn't know how to spell his name.
Yes.
We've all made mistakes.
Justin, wasn't this a match that you showed your wife when you were telling her that you were a wrestling fan and you wanted to show her why you're a wrestling fan? I seem to remember this story.
And not that I want to promote another podcast, but the way I did it was I fired up Steve Austin's Watch Along podcast that he did, so that she could kind of hear a wrestler explain, what really goes into a match like that. A great match.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was just going to say my girlfriend actually, she doesn't watch wrestling, but the first and probably about the only match we've really sat down and watched was Bret Hart versus Stone Cold from WrestleMania 13. So
solid choice.
Good pick by me.
Yeah, great pick. Shocking, but great pick. All right, Kyle,
I am very interested in the next move, though, in this draft.
I don't think I'm going to surprise you too much. I know you're kind of surprised in our WrestleMania draft at the direction I went, and not going to surprise you tonight. I think this is the match you thought I was going to pick in our WrestleMania draft, round 1. Bret Hart, Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10, the greatest opening match in WrestleMania history. And I'm sorry to Shawn and Razor, the best match on WrestleMania 10. It has aged the best. It's still just a technical masterpiece. Says something that Bret loses the match, right? And it's still, when I would pick in a Bret Hart draft, doesn't matter that he lost. He's such an artist in the ring, and he went out there on the biggest stage you could and showed the world why his younger brother was one of the top performers in the company and set the stage for a storyline between the two of them that went almost the entire year. Led to another awesome match that summer, of course, played into Bret losing the title, which he would win later that night from Yokozuna, leads into Bret losing the title at the Survivor Series later in the year when Owen gets involved. You read Bret's book, you watch any of the documentaries, they talk about the lengths that he and Owen went in the airports and stuff to make, kayfabe it, to make people think they really hated each other. Just what a great job by both of them. What an awesome time in the industry. And this is a match I showed my wife, and she was into it the whole time. And it says something that, that this match can be, 27 years old at this time, and it hasn't lost anything. You watch the Razor Shawn match, which at the time was mind blowing, and I still really, really like the match. But it feels like now when you show it to someone, you have to preface it by, well, this isn't going to seem like much to you. But at the time, it was a great ladder match, and it was, way ahead of its time. People watch it now like, I don't know what's the big deal, because you've seen all these car crashes and ladder matches over the years. But you turn on Bret and Owen, you don't need to say anything. Watch it, and people are blown away. So that's my number 2 overall pick. Thoughts on this one, Ryan Huffman?
Yeah, I would be in agreement with you there as well. I think that's a great show of how long-term storylining works too. Like they started that one all the way back. I think around Survivor Series, and then they continued there. But I don't know, like excellent match. Obviously elevated both guys. My favorite thing from the entire thing is actually Owen's post saying kicked his knee out of his knee. I just think that was
so the
funny.
Rumble.
You're right. Okay,
the Mania is when he had that
light
stuff on him. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's not make any illusions. You get your minds out of the gutter, everybody.
Both memorable promos, though.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, Ryan. It was exactly your storyline. Survivor Series 93 in Boston Garden up through Survivor Series 94.
Stu with that pandering Boston Bruins jacket.
Yes. Kyle, go ahead.
No, I'll say, you talk about the storyline. They did that mini doc on, Peacock, WWE Network, depending on where you live. Remember? Like, what is it, like Untold or something? I can't keep track of what they name these things. Yeah. There's a Bret Hart, Owen Hart feud documentary on the damn thing, okay? And I remember watching it. I'm like, this storyline makes every storyline of the last, 6 years in WWE look like ass. I mean, it was unbelievable. You're watching it. It's not a feud that drew a ton of money, right? Or anything. But it's you're those sit down promos they did with Vince when Bret is there is no way I would ever wrestle my brother. It's unbelievable, these promos. Yeah. It just puts the modern stuff to shame. It was really jaw dropping. This was the correct pick, Ryan. I'm very happy that you picked this. And I'll throw this to Justin or around the horn here. I don't think there's ever been another match in wrestling history that took a guy who was perceived as mid-card, if that, and immediately got him in the main event like this did with Owen Hart.
That's true. I haven't really thought about it like that. I was going to say, to your point about them not drawing money, they did sell at the United Center. I know it wasn't the headline match, but it was the title match. And it's not an easy thing to do. It was I think the first big event, maybe the first event ever at the United Center, which was the largest arena in the country. So, I mean, that's some drawing. But business wasn't on fire, no doubt. But yeah, I haven't thought about that. It did elevate Owen. I mean, he never got the world title run, but he got the world title shot at the second biggest show of the year. He was in the mix for a long time, for months. So, I mean, eventually IC champion and everything. Justin, your thoughts?
Well, I think having an opening bout match with someone who'd go on to main event and win the world title, Daniel Bryan did wonders for Triple H's career. Is that kind of the same thing? Or no?
Yeah.
Oh, That's why we love you, Justin.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? But with the casual fan, Owen Hart was like not a big deal at all going to that match, right? He was just Bret's brother, and then all of a sudden, I think people watched the match like, holy shit, Owen Hart is like really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone thought that the rest of his career. So and obviously having it be his brother that he was working against is critical to story. This is a very difficult dynamic to duplicate, if it can even be duplicated, quite frankly.
Yeah. All right, Justin, third pick. This is where it's going to start to get interesting.
Come on, Justin, make me happy, because I think
those two.
I think you might do what I would do in this position.
So I think there is a very obvious chalk pick here. If I am just looking at trying to win this thing, there's a match I would take. There's also 3 other matches, 2 with just very strong nostalgia pulls for me. And there's one other that is, frankly, I just think the best in-ring match of all 4 of them. And so I'm going to go Survivor Series 96, Steve Austin. I know you already kind of pooped on it, saying it was kind of the lesser of the doubleheader matches, but for me, WrestleMania 12 brought me back into wrestling, and to have this match,
weirdos you are.
Having this be Bret Hart's return and having him handpick Steve Austin to be his opponent. You say that WrestleMania 13 really made Stone Cold. You could make a point that this was really his coming out party.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best.
Any issue with it? Yeah.
No. This of the matches that I think are the second best of the pairs, the 4 pairs I alluded to earlier. This is the best one. So I just, I think says something about the Bret Austin dynamic. I had this high. This is not what I thought you would do, though.
Me either, but I can't take issue with it because I was so jacked for that match at the time, as I kind of talked about in the intro. It is a freaking awesome match. I mean, if they had never wrestled at WrestleMania, this would be really high on Bret's career top matches list. It already is, but it might be in that top 5 mix if they didn't have the Mania match. So
it's so different, the 2 matches too, and that's kind of a theme with all these pairings that we're going to maybe get into in the first 2 rounds with Bret and his famous opponents. When he has 2 famous matches against the same guy, they tend to be different.
I don't know if Ryan Huffman is a nerd like me and Drosty. Kyle, you can sit this question out. Ryan, thoughts on orange accent Bret Hart on the tights?
Is it orange?
There's a little bit of orange.
Okay, because I know the pink kind of fades on those tights a little bit. Yeah, it kind of fades into orange. You're right.
It's kind of got the it's kind of got that fire. It looks like a flame more so too.
I always liked the gear at Survivor Series 96. He also debuted the new Hitman sunglasses on that show that he would have through the rest of 96 into 97. They had the black around the edges and they were pink in the middle, whereas before they were all pink, or before that they were silver. So I'm trying to find a good screenshot to put on the screen here of that gear. But yeah, you're right. It does kind of have a little bit of an orange tint to it around on the side. This picture's way too small to put up. Hold on. Yeah. What do you think, Huffman?
Yeah, I liked it. I think that was one thing about Bret's gear just over the years. I don't think there was a big changes ever, but he would subtly change everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously from when he went to Hart Foundation into a singles wrestler, and then he added, the heart with the wings, and but yeah, I liked it. Yeah, the little orange on there. I like that.
Yeah, good pick, Justin. I like that pick. All right, Huffman, what do you got closing out round 1?
And just for the record, for what I think Kyle thought I was going to take, I had a better feeling about that dropping to me than this match. So take it away, Ryan.
Yeah, you're better with thinking that way. Yes, and you could be correct.
Yeah.
You could play your cards very well here.
Ryan Huffman, you got 2 in a row here. Close out round 1 first.
I got 2 in a row here. I don't think this will probably come as much of a surprise. I'm going to go Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12.
I'll squirm in his seat.
Yeah, I just from being a listener, I know there's some mixed opinions of this match. But I will say this: when I got into wrestling a lot, it was 96 into 97. I think like athletically, what those two did that night was super impressive. I love, when Bret talks about that and they say, "Hey, we're down to a minute," and they look up at the clock and they're right where they are supposed to be. You have it where Bret a little bit salty over like, hey, he had him in the sharpshooter. He really didn't lose the match because it went into overtime, and then you have him, heading out pretty upset about the loss. But and it was really a sign of things to come with those two performers. But I'm going that one just because that one's always a special place in my heart, because that was probably the match that really ignited my love for wrestling. So I'll let you guys kind of take it away on that one, because I know you guys have some mixed opinions on that one. But
we've covered it before, but that match being signed is what kind of brought me back after not paying attention for 3 years. It was just exciting to hear about a match that was going to be 1 hour at WrestleMania between two guys that we knew could go in that ring. And compared to today's standards of wrestling, it is a bit slow. And maybe even if you ask Kyle, by 96 standards is probably a little slow, but I loved it nonetheless.
Yeah, I like it, just nostalgia too. It brought me back in. I was so hyped for the match. I do like the match more than most people. In fact, if I was in this seat right now, I would have been thinking about taking it there too. I just have a lot of great memories of the match. I know the finish is debatable among people, but I liked the controversial finish. It sucks we didn't get the rematch the next year, but I like the groundwork that they laid there to do it at WrestleMania 13. It sucks the only rematch we really got outside of the house show circuit was, the screw job. Even if they would have wrestled not at Mania, so that we still would have got Bret and Austin or something, we never got the proper clean rematch that we all wanted to see. So yeah, I'm not going to fault you. I love the poster in your backdrop that you have, the rare Iron Man match poster that they put out. Yeah, that's a sweet one. So Kyle, anything you want to add?
3.5-star match.
What a dick.
Before I go my next pick, there are a couple things I did love about that though. I loved the ring with the WrestleMania 12, kind of the blue on it. I did like that quite a bit, and I did like the face versus face concept. I usually get like a face heel, but yeah, my next pick is when I did my research, is a 5-star match. It was against Owen Hart at SummerSlam. I don't remember a lot of blue cage matches, but certainly do remember that one as being a great one. Yeah, just a great one. I think I'm trying to remember, Ryan, do you have that signed? Is that one of the things you got signed somewhere?
Just take it off my wall. It's the SummerSlam 94 program signed by Bret Hart.
Well, we're all big with the periodicals here.
There you go. Well, that's on my office wall all the time, so it's an easy one to pull.
Yeah. It kind of brought that feud, I wouldn't say to a close, but it kind of slowed that down. Did reintroduce the Bulldog and Neidhart in that match, but I really like that. I really enjoy that match. That's when I went back when we started talking about doing this draft. I was like, I need to rewatch that one, because that was really before my time of really watching live. So I won't rewatch that one. Just enjoy that match a lot.
That's what I kind of had penciled in as the third best match, even though I went with the Austin match. It does. I loved it in the moment. It hasn't aged the best for me. I feel it's a little long, but still, when it comes to the blue bar steel cage matches, it's at the tippity top.
Just think, if they hadn't gone long, we would have got more of Undertaker versus Underfaker, though.
Yeah.
I disagree with Meltzer that this is better than the Mania 10 match. To me, Mania 10's Mania 10's the 5-star match, and this one is a little bit lesser. I agree, Justin, with how it's aged and whatnot. I'm not against it. There's some people who just don't like it. I think that's a little silly, but yeah, I figured it was absolutely a lock for the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprised at all on that one.
I thought Justin might take it number 3.
Mm-hmm. So did I.
It's one of my probably top 10 favorite matches of all time, to be honest with you. I do think it is a little bit long. If I could make it perfect, I'd shave off some time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a great match.
Who thought this was going to be a 2021 review? This draft, I could shave off a few times. Perfect.
Yeah.
How many times have we said that this year? But I love the post-match with all the family members climbing up and people fighting Vince McMahon. All the family members are trying to get in.
It's great. It's great stuff.
Okay, Justin, you played your cards pretty freaking well here, and I'm actually kind of salivating all of a sudden.
Yeah, the match I was hoping would fall to me has fallen to me. I don't know. I'm going to have to maybe post it on our Facebook, or maybe Ryan can bring it up on the screen or something. Got off work early today to rewatch this match because I did not see it at the time. And honestly, I don't think I'd ever watched it until the last few years. But I took a picture of me watching this match today, and it was a little blurry. You could barely see anything. But Ryan Drosty somehow could pinpoint down to the 2-month span of when this would have taken place just by seeing the jacket.
Yes.
I'm going to take the Bret Hart versus British Bulldog in your house seasons beatings 1995 match. For me, I think the Wembley Stadium SummerSlam match gets a lot more love than this one does, but I prefer this one. The blood helps. I'm not gonna lie. That
always does.
That is a giant factor. You also get Meltzer gave it 4.5 stars. I give Diana Smith a 10 stars in this match. She looks fantastic.
Love that.
The only thing I would really fault is the pin kind of comes out of nowhere, but it works because the whole thing about this match was that Bret had never beaten Bulldog before, and he only really survived it by the skin of his teeth. They told a great story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I love that match. I know I've said on this podcast before, I think it's better than Wembley, too. Yeah, it's friggin' awesome. It's just the blood absolutely helps. I remember the first time I saw that, I think it was on this home video called Confirmed Hits that I picked up at Kmart at the time, where Justin was working at the time. Little did I know. And the match was clipped on there. But I later saw the full match, and yeah, it is a great, great match. I love it.
You know what else helps it besides the blood? You get compared to Wembley, you get a competent performance from Davey Boy Smith.
Yes,
which wasn't necessarily the case in Wembley. I mean, Wembley was a total carry job. This was just a better effort from Davey.
Mm-hmm. Huffman, you have any thoughts on this one you want to share?
Yeah, this one was on my list that I had notes on. Really good match. One of them, I think Bret going into WrestleMania 12, he was at the top of his game. Had a lot of really good matches. This was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, you made it a little harder on me here, Justin, with my second pick. You know what? I think I'm going to do what makes sense here. Just looking at my big board, and there's another match that I would like to take, but I think it's going to fall to me on my next pick. I'll let you know when I pick next if it did or not.
So now you've got to go against me here. A man you know well.
True. I think I'm going to go Bret Bulldog too. I think I'm going to do the Wembley match here because, like Bret often likes to say, he has a quote where he says everyone talks about that being Davey's match, but it's his match because it was such a carry job. It is a match that shows off Bret Hart's ability to carry people in the ring. He's legendary for it. Look at the legend of the Tom McGee match all these years that we finally saw a year or so ago. It's an iconic match because of Wembley, because of the 80,000 people. Again, Bret loses, just like in my first pick, but it's hard to beat the visual of that match and what it means for both guys' careers. So I think when I'm trying to put together a list of iconic matches, not just good matches, but iconic matches that play to the masses, I think I got to go Wembley, and it's one of Bret Hart's masterpieces because he did carry Bulldog, who basically forgot everything they were going to do when they went out there, and they had a good match. So
it was kind of. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
I was saying it convinced Vince McMahon to put the world title on him a couple months later.
Yeah, it
was kind of the beginning of Bret giving a guy their best match too. I mean, that's kind of goes on and on for the rest of his career.
Question: what does Davey Boy Smith's career look like if they don't make the decision to change SummerSlam '92 from Washington D.C. to Wembley?
Yeah. Ooh. Good point. Because it was going to be Bret and Shawn, right?
Yeah, in the first ladder match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Instead, they did it for Smack 'em, Whack 'em.
Yeah. And yeah, that fateful decision impacted a lot in the future. No doubt.
Davey doesn't get the big WCW deal probably after they fire him for steroids.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But yeah, I feel good about that pick in this position. Huffman, anything?
No, just pretty much what you guys said. You love the family dynamic. Mm-hmm. I think you look at the Harts in general, just over the years, how much of their own family dynamic they've been able to add to matches, and I think it's all been pretty great.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kyle.
Segue off that. Speaking of the family dynamic, I believe this match is eligible because Justin Joint, when we did the Ric Flair draft, picked a Royal Rumble first. So I'm going with the 10-man Canadian Stampede. I cannot believe this match dropped to me. I had it number 3 on my board. I love 1997 Bret Hart, and I love this frickin' match. It is a Mount Rushmore WWE/F crowd. Again, a dynamic you can't replicate easily. The only other crowd that comes to mind like this would be Money in the Bank Chicago in 2011 for Punk Cena. I love multi-person matches. They should not be boring like they are on modern-day Raws. Everybody's out there having the time of their life for this. And arguably, it's the pinnacle of Bret Hart in the WWF. Like, after the post-match, like, he's standing there like, he's conquered it, man. I know he's not the champion, but, like, they built a show around him. Right? Mm-hmm. In Calgary. How many guys have a pay-per-view essentially built around them? Not many. So, yeah, I am just ecstatic to see this match fall to me at number 8. Could not run up and deliver Roger Goodell my card quick enough.
I thought about taking it. I did think it would fall a little further just because it's kind of sneaky because it's a 10-man tag, and I figured everyone was looking at the singles matches at the top. This isn't the one I was referencing before, but yeah. Justin?
Yeah, it would have been higher on my list, but there are 9 other guys on this match. But there's no denying that the reason this match, as Kyle said, the reason this match was a big deal was because of Bret Hart reaching the kind of the pinnacle of, the whole Canada versus USA rivalry.
Yeah.
The pop Bret Hart gets when he comes out gives me strength.
Yes.
Like, I just love the kind of like gradual ascending pops each guy gets. Even like Jim Neidhart is getting a big pop in 1997. I mean, for God's sake, if Jim Neidhart's getting pops in 97, you got a friendly audience. Pillman's out there having the time of his life, but Bret's the star here. Love 1997 Bret Hart with all my heart and soul. It's my favorite Bret. And then for my next one, this is interesting. I didn't think this match would drop. Ryan, you're probably pretty happy with where you're at because you're just going to pick the one I don't. I'm going to go with, I guess, his first famous match, and that's the SummerSlam 91 match against Mr. Perfect. I'm a little surprised. I know how much you guys love this one, and I thought it would be gone for sure. I'm going to be honest here, and I will draw dirty looks from this remark. I was not huge into Bret until like 93. Until I wrote down his name in that magazine. Like, I was just like, okay, this guy's fine in 91 and 92, but it wasn't until like the Lawler feud in 93, because that was like his first sort of proper feud that he had, wasn't it? Like, this, we talked about it when we did Top Rope Nation Classic for SummerSlam 91. They just kind of threw Bret in the contenders role. Perfect was leaving because of the back injury, so they needed to change the title. Davey Boy Smith, who we've talked about obviously quite a bit here, was feuding with Perfect over the summer, but Bret was just simply a better option to take the title. A more well-rounded performer. And with Perfect's back injury and kind of the lack of angle going into that match, how fondly it's remembered and how well it was over at the time is really a testament to how over Bret was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a real feather in the cap when you go back and watch it. Wow, Bret Hart was really over in 1991. And, of course, who could forget Lord Alfred Hayes pulling the microphone from his father in the post-match interview?
Right as he's talking, mid-sentence. Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, can't take issue with this. I'm a little surprised Justin didn't go for this one earlier, because I know you've talked about in the past, Justin, how much this match meant to you, at least at the time.
This is the one that clinched my love of Bret Hart. This is what made Bret Hart my favorite wrestler.
How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, my older brother, who kind of got me into wrestling at the time, he was a huge Mr. Perfect fan, so I enjoyed this match a lot. Actually, he was able to meet Mr. Perfect's dad a few times there in Waterloo, and just when they would talk about this match, this is, again, one of those I had to go back and rewatch, but I think that one has held the test of time pretty well.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kyle. Nice pick. So you think you know what I'm going to pick then, huh?
Yes. You're the person I always kind of know the best, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
200 and...
What if I make the pick and you just said no? If I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
It's also against Mr. Perfect.
You're correct.
Okay.
King of the Ring 93. Yeah. Bret and Perfect, King of the Ring 93. You can't really fault either of these matches. I understand why you would take the SummerSlam match, because it's the more famous match. It's his first big match. It's the IC title victory. I personally do like, as a match, the King of the Ring match better. I've said that on the show before. I think it's just like the pace is a little quicker. I also love the pre-match promo where they're talking about my dad could beat your dad and all of that. So yeah, I got to go with King of the Ring 93 in Dayton, right? Was it Dayton?
The heartland of America. They refused to say Dayton the entire pay-per-view.
Bret goes on to win the King of the Ring, obviously, that night, and a huge night for him, having different matches with every single person that he wrestles throughout the tournament. But this is the real highlight for me. Love seeing Bret and Perfect work. Wish they had more high-profile matches, to be honest with you. But of the two, this was my favorite, just between the ropes, as far as between the ropes goes. So, yeah. Anyone have thoughts on this one you want to share?
This is another one, kind of like that Bulldog in Your House. I wasn't there when it originally aired. It's something I had to go back to. And this is something that you and Kyle introduced me to. I had never even seen it. And, in ring wise, it is, I'd say, slightly superior to the SummerSlam match. It just doesn't have the kind of the bells and whistles of importance that one does. But it's still, you can't go wrong with those two basically at their peak, going one-on-one in a King of the Ring tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And Perfect's back isn't, screwed 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
In this one. You're getting a healthier Kurt, and I love how he plays subtle heel in the match. The difference is he's a babyface here. I alluded to when I picked the Austin match that there were two pairings that I didn't really feel strongly either way. It was kind of tough being in this situation, because I actually don't feel strongly that the SummerSlam match is better than the King of the Ring. I'm trying to win a fan poll, and I figured that one was more famous. That's why I went that. If you think King of the Ring's better, I'm not going to argue with that at all. And the Davey Boy Smith is the other one that I in your house. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's like
SummerSlam's more famous.
Yeah. I got the under the radar here with the Perfect one on my board, but then I got the more famous Bulldog one in the previous round. So I kind of
good picks.
Yeah. I think I've told this on the show before, but I mentioned in the opening the fun memory of sitting down with Bret, having beers with him in the summer of 2008 during that Hall of Fame weekend at Iowa. And I was literally sitting on a bar stool next to Bret, on a bar stool, up to the bar, bellies up to the bar. And I said that to him. I said, hey, let's talk about wrestling Mr. Perfect. I always thought the King of the Ring match was better. And he agreed. He said we had matches, better than both of them that were untelevised and nobody's ever going to see.
He loves to put over a match they had in Anchorage, Alaska, which no one has seen.
Yeah.
I think if you look at
fan cams,
if you look at historyofwwe.com, I think there's a note. Bret Hart has said this is the best match between the two. No one has ever seen it.
Well,
I could be making that up too.
Well, Graham would know, because Graham Cawthon that runs the site, he's a massive Bret Hart fan as well. And we're going to be getting him on the show here within the next couple of weeks too. Been talking to Graham, good friend of mine, known him for a long time. He's a massive Bret Hart fan. So if Graham put that on his website, it's definitely true.
I'll look it up to see if he has, or maybe I just made that up from my head. That was not on my format sheet, by the way, Tony. I didn't know we were getting Graham Cawthorne on this show. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we're working on the scheduling, but he is going to be on in the next couple of weeks, 100%. So look forward to that.
God, I can't wait till all the random questions I'm going to find on that site. I'm just going to ask him.
Do it. Let's start the Google Doc now.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, what do you got?
Oh, I'm kind of torn here. I'm looking at 3 matches. And I don't know, like, how do you judge these things? The importance to Bret Hart's career, or is it more about the in-ring quality? But I think I'm going to go with a tiny bit of both. I'm going to go with Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, Survivor Series 1992.
I am Ron Burgundy.
His first big title defense in a pay-per-view after beating Ric Flair. The first match in what would be one of the most iconic wrestling feuds in the history of the sport. Damn right I said sport. Mm-hmm. The match starts off a little slow. It's a lot of grappling, but you can definitely see the chemistry there between them. It picks up in the latter half. I don't think there's a huge surprise as to who was going to win this match, but they did, build a little bit of drama in there. And it's just cool when you go back and watch this match, knowing where these guys were going to end up, especially at Survivor Series. It makes for a really fun contest.
And you forgot the most important part of this match.
You were there.
Yes.
I knew it. I know. I was going to say this was the first match on the board that one of us was actually at.
Yes, I was there.
Lucky bastard.
It was interesting too. I mean, it's a 5 pick. This is kind of where I thought this match would go. The live crowd, at least the section I was at, I always remember they didn't treat this as the main event. They treated the tag match as the main event in the eyes of most of the people on that show. It was a weird time in the World Wrestling Federation with mass exoduses due to steroids and wild title changes. But it was the start of Bret Hart, and his big run, and it kind of the Davey Boy match too at SummerSlam, ushering in a new main event style post Hulk Hogan. I know he came back, but obviously that was not for long, and was also very bad.
Yeah, nice pick. I love the finish to that match. Catching Shawn coming off the top rope into the sharpshooter. Memorable finish. Yeah,
it comes back at WrestleMania 12.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good callback. Huffman, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that was actually, I had that on my list. Again, I think that's an awesome match. I liked how they use it again at the WrestleMania 12. So yes, I have a list of Huffman. So great match. I think it was probably the time where people were saying those are probably the next 2 big stars.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they were.
Mm-hmm. They were right. People were right.
Yeah, it was definitely the kickoff of the new era.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ryan Huffman, what do you got for us?
Well, we kind of just talked about one match using a finish for another match. So I'm actually going to go WrestleMania 8 versus Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental title. I just really like that match. Had, the blood in there. You have a guy who hasn't been pinned a whole lot in Piper, and you have that moment where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do the heel thing," which he has been a heel, and then ends up, doing the right thing, and then ends up costing him in the end. They use that finish again at Survivor Series 96 with Stone Cold, but just a good match. I'm probably a little more partial because, like you, Ryan, I interacted with these two back in 08 in Waterloo, and seeing them together was a lot of fun. And again, I don't know, just like the match a lot. How do you guys feel on that one?
The famous finish that we've seen numerous times since. But
Yeah.
at the time,
that
at the
some
time was awesome.
Yeah, some agent got high and watched it and can't forget it now. And we just see it so often now. But yeah, it's a great pick. And it's the correct way to do a passing the torch match. Take note, Hulk Hogan. It's not, you get to pose afterwards and steal the spotlight from the guy you just allegedly put over. It's no, you actually put the new talent over. And yeah, it was Roddy Piper's, I believe, first television job in 7 years, not counting like MSG TV, because he had put over Flair in the fall. But yeah, he had not done a TV job since Jimmy Snuka in '84.
Another one with a great pre-match promo too.
Yes.
Boy, Mrs. Hart, she'd make those peanut butter sandwiches, man. Love that line. Of course, you couldn't tie your shoes till you were 10 years old. Or whatever. Yeah, great pick, man. I like that one a lot. Bret even used that finish again at Survivor Series 96 with Austin.
Yep.
Same finish.
Yep.
All right. Start us off with round 4.
Okay. So I'm going to this one because this is probably the next match I have watched the most, other than Austin versus Bret at WrestleMania 13. This is probably up there as my favorite wrestling match ever, was The Undertaker at SummerSlam 1997. I know it only is a 3-star match, but it is Bret Hart's final title win. You got the height of the USA, Canada, with Shawn being the guest referee. I really like this one just because, Wrestling with Shadows covered this a little bit as well. You just didn't really know how they were going to pull it off, because you're like, well, if Bret loses, he can't be wrestling in America ever. One of my best friends is a huge Undertaker fan, Josh, out in Colorado. So this is a match we've watched before as well. But
Hi, Josh.
So one of my favorite, he is a listener. So that's
okay.
That's,
I like him already.
Yeah. So
Smart man.
yes. But yeah, I love this match. Like, I've watched Austin Bret at Mania 13, and then probably right behind it is probably Bret versus Undertaker. Probably just because I know you guys did a show reviewing this, and I absolutely love all the video lead up, the music, the Todd Pettingale, just, I don't know, everything about it. If I have any wrestling poster, it's that one. So I love that one.
If life was fair.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Now that match I think is criminally underrated by Dave.
Yes. Yeah. 3 stars is way too low. I mean, the finish alone is we talked about this when we did the Top Rope Nation Classic on the show, is one of the great finishes. Yeah. Whoever, I think it was a Patterson deal, because in Wrestling with Shadows, they show Pat and Bret going over the finish. So, Pat was the finish guy back then. It's just a wonderfully crafted finish. Like Ryan was saying with the stipulations, you had Bret, if he loses, he can't wrestle in the U.S. again. Well, that's not going to happen. But you had Shawn Michaels as the guest referee saying, well, if I favor Bret, if I favor The Undertaker, then I can't wrestle in the U.S. again. So it's like, well, how are they going to massage that? And the finish they did with Shawn swinging the chair at Bret, missing, hitting Undertaker, and then reluctantly counting the 3, just par excellence.
I remember at the time, I was like, oh my God, are Bret and Shawn going to team up? Is this going to end up with them as a team at some point? I was so into that finish. This awesome finish.
That was a rumor on those shitty hotlines. I don't know if you guys had that out there, where you would call the local, our local
City
paper.
Line, I think it was called.
Yeah,
here.
City Line. You could, you would dial here it's the Plain Dealers, the local paper. You would dial the number and hit 999 for pro wrestling rumors, and whoever the guy on there was like, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels are going to come together in the Hart Foundation. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That guy was a little off. His sources stunk. I think he also claimed Yokozuna was going to join the Hart Foundation for about 6 months.
God. Oh, my God. It's got to happen one of these weeks, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Nice pick. I like that pick. I would have considered that this round, too, for sure. It was on my board in the mix right now. So, Justin, on to you, my friend.
Well, I think I'm going to take the match previous to this that he won a world title. I'm going to go In Your House Final 4, Bret Hart, Austin, Vader, and Taker. It was kind of the beginning of the end for Bret Hart's babyface run before he starts going full heel, because it leads to, losing the world title to Sid. And the famous quote that Kyle quoted at the top of the pod. A really fun match if you go back and watch it. It is just complete and utter chaos. It is, well, three of these guys, at the top of their game. I don't think I can say that for Vader, although he is almost the star.
Vader performance. Yeah, that's a great
he
Vader
is kind of the
performance.
star of the show with getting busted open in the eye early in the match. But yeah, I just remember when this happened and having that world title get put on Bret Hart again. It was an exciting moment.
Remember when the people could brawl? we talked about this a good deal in our in your house top 10. I think it was Zach Hador, not our special guest for that show, Ryan. Yeah, just a tremendous brawl. Hey, 1997, baby. Rule in the day. I said it's my favorite, Brett, and it looks like the picks are kind of bearing that out for everybody.
Wow. Put me in a tough spot, Mr. Justin Joint.
I'm very interested where you're going to go here, Ryan.
Yeah.
I think I might know.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because there's one I was leaning towards, and then I looked at my board a little bit, and I feel like if I picked that one, it might hurt me with the fan vote a little bit.
Okay, then I definitely think we're on the same page.
So I'm looking a little bit later with this one, perhaps, based on what is on the board. I think I got to do it. Just, it's too bad of what's happened to this match in the history books as time went on for obvious reasons. But I got to go with it. I'll choose the first Bret Hart WCW match. Get this one off the board.
Wow.
Bret Hart and Chris Benoit, Monday Nitro, October 4th, 99, Kansas City, which is what makes this one of the reasons it's so memorable, at the Kemper Arena. This match happens just under 5 months after Owen's death in the very arena. I remember at the time everyone saw Nitro scheduled to be there, and as Bret was thinking about coming back late in the summer, and I think he worked some house shows with tagging with Hogan, if I remember right, in late summer of 99, and he started to kind of work his way back to the industry, because we didn't know if Bret was going to wrestle ever again after that, and who would have blamed him. And comes back, he handpicks Chris Benoit to work the match against in the arena where his brother was killed 4.5 months earlier. It's an outstanding match, given lots of television time. Of course, Chris Benoit became a horrific person later on, but the match is an awesome match. And given the circumstances, it's incredibly powerful to watch. And then at the end, Bret Hart looks up at the rafters. I remember rewatching this match so many times over the next couple of months after it aired. So I'm comfortable with that one here. Well, Bret Benoit, October of 99, WCW Nitro.
I was definitely going to take it with one of my picks, for sure.
Yeah.
I remember they'd been shitting the bed with Bret Hart since he got there. And when that match happened, that was the point. It's like, all right, this is where they're going to start getting it right. This is the moment where Bret Hart has his classic WCW run.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No. It's definitely his best WCW match.
Sadly, Vince Russo was calling the shots.
Yeah.
Not long after.
Yes. True.
He was calling the shots already at that point, was he not?
Late? Yeah, I think he did come in around that.
It was right around that time. Yeah.
But he was, because I do remember Bret always spoke positively of Russo.
Because he gave him a push.
Yeah.
He put the title on him at Mayhem, right?
Yeah, he wrestled Benoit again that night. So, yeah, it's a great match. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Obviously, it's a little difficult to watch now because of the opponent, but if you can put that aside for 20, 30 minutes, it's a great match. So, yeah. Ryan, do you remember watching this one at the time?
Yeah, I actually this would have been my my fifth pick coming up, but yeah, obviously for emotion reasons, it's lots of emotion. That having Harley Race, I believe, introduced both opponents too.
Right, yeah.
It was an excellent match there in Kansas City.
Nice. All right, Kyle.
Ryan, you're going to get your pick, I think, or something you want next.
Okay.
I think. Lots of good matches. About 4 matches that I would really, really like. I can only take 2 of them. This is probably where I lose the draft, but because I'm going obscure, but I'm being true to my board.
I think I know what you're going to pick. Is it a tag match?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is the first straight tag match. See, here's the problem. I have a 10-man. I'm taking a tag.
Yeah, I thought about this one too.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it anyway. Because I this was something I definitely had circled for the 4th and 5th round. Bret Hart and Owen Hart against Rick and Scott Steiner from WrestleFest 94. That was just the name of the tape. It's actually January 11th, 1994 is the date it took place. Just a phenomenal, very un-WWE-like tag match, right? I mean, they gave him a ton of time, almost 30 minutes. And it's babyface versus babyface. And it's just, brothers versus brothers. It's just a dynamic. You don't see it. I think it is a really great match. I think it is the best straight tag team match Bret Hart has ever been involved in. I think it's better than any Hart Foundation match.
Cosign. We were talking about this match a few months ago, as I recall, on our group text. And I didn't really remember watching it. And I think it's on the Hart Family Anthology DVD set. I pulled that out and watched it. Yeah, it's an awesome. I was thinking about this with my last pick.
Scott Steiner busting out the screwdriver. The Steiner screwdriver is worth the price of admission alone.
Mm-hmm. So awesome.
Yeah. And for my final pick, this is a match that I kind of thought might be gone already. So I'll grab it here. Survivor Series 1995, a Bret Hart title win against Big Daddy Cool Diesel. You talk about a great Bret Hart performance. This is a great Bret Hart performance. Just a lot of subtle stuff. I love the opening of this match where Diesel goes over. Again, it's babyface versus babyface. Undoes the turnbuckle. Bret Hart looks at him and goes, okay, you want to fucking do that? And he takes the turnbuckle off over there. And, it was the match that popularized the Spanish announce table spot, obviously. And it's just a wonderful match. Easily the best match of Kevin Nash's career. I definitely like this one better than the other 2 pay-per-view matches they had. King of the Ring 94 and Royal Rumble 95.
Well, you son of a bitch. That's what I was going to take.
Oh, okay.
That's the one where I was talking about the opponent might hurt me because people say, Nash. But I love that match, man. That is Kevin Nash's best match. I like the finish, how it comes out of nowhere with the small package cradle win. The table spot, you didn't see that a lot. Those were hard tables at that time. Great pick, man. 3rd title victory for Bret Hart. This is right when I was kind of diving back into wrestling hardcore again. And I've seen Kevin Nash tweet about this match, how people compliment him on the match, and he always says it was all Bret. Bret put the whole thing together. Yep. So it's another situation where you've got Bret Hart, having a guy's best match of his career, just like with Bulldog, So, yeah. Anyone else got thoughts on this one?
I just love the finish. I love the he gets beat down all match, and then he kind of plays possum there and just gets to roll up, and Nash beats him down some more after it. But yeah, great match again. One of the many leading into WrestleMania 12 there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the best part, let's not bury the lead, is that Kevin Nash is no longer the WWF champion after this match. I mean, but thank God, what a mercy killing that was. Yeah.
All right. Well, made it a little more difficult on me because now I've got a bunch of matches that I would consider here. I'm probably going to pick the one that I think you're thinking of.
Okay.
Is the one you're thinking of a Raw match?
Yes.
Yep. I think that's what I'm going to pick. Let me just look at my list one more time here. There's a couple Hart Foundation matches I'm debating, but
I almost feel like we could have added a caveat: must pick a Hart Foundation match or something like that.
Could have done that, yeah. Justin has an idea for our future drafts, which we're actually going to change the rules a little bit in some of our future ones. Might make it even more interesting.
They're changing the rules as they go along.
Moving the goalposts. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid from July 11th, 1994, Monday Night Raw. Obviously, at this point in time, the business was not on fire. The incredibly small venue they wrestled this match at. But, I mean, you've probably seen the gifs if you're on social media, like the little stuff Bret does in this match to put over the Kid, you know, who had had some big matches up before this, but to be wrestling, you know, Bret Hart, the WWF champion at the time, they do those spots early in the match where, like, Kid throws him down and Bret kind of looks at the camera and gives a little look like, oh, this Kid might actually have something. And they have this competitive match, you know, at a time when you didn't always see that on Monday Night Raw, especially from the world champion. It's another one that helped make Sean Waltman into a guy people took seriously in addition to the Razor Ramon matches. So, yeah, July 94, Bret Hart, 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah, love the last few minutes of that match. They really got after it in a moment where you were really thinking that 1-2-3 Kid could win any match. And I'm always a sucker for paint splatter Bret Hart tights.
Oh, I love those tights in 94. He wore them at SummerSlam too. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we've talked about doing a deep dive on that match on the podcast. We've done, you know, some of these history shows on particular matches and examined the matches a little bit more in depth. That's one we've considered maybe in July. We'll see if we come back to that or not. But I think that's a good fifth pick for me. I like that one there. Justin, what do you got?
Well, I think I have pretty easily already lost this draft. So
I'm very interested what these last two are going to be.
I'm going to go kind of way out there. September 11th, 1997. Bret Hart in ECW, at least in ECW production. Bret Hart versus Terry Funk in what was supposedly his last match. It is not a barn burner by any means. You can find it on YouTube with pretty grainy footage. But it's still a really good match, especially considering where Terry Funk was at in his career at that point. He was long past his prime. But you have, 1997 Bret Hart in a match, and it's going to be good. And this one was no difference. And you include some fun spots with Bruce in it. It was a no disqualification. The crowd was very much against Bret in this match, which made it even that much more fun.
This match was, of course, popularized a little bit in Beyond the Mat.
Mm-hmm.
God, what's the guy's name? I can't freaking remember the guy's
referee?
name. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not booked, Terry.
Can't do it.
What is that guy's name? Oh, it's going to bother me, and all this is going to piss me off.
Hold on, I'll Google it. Referee Terry Funk retirement match. Yeah. 1997. Oh, man, who was that?
I'm like embarrassed.
Dennis Stamp.
Yes, Dennis Stamp, of course.
Yeah.
Dennis Stamp.
Okay. Wow, that's a little bit out of left field. I wasn't expecting that one, but yeah, nice. A little under the radar. I like that. All right. What do you got, Huffman?
All right. This one I have on my list, and this one is probably where I lose the draft. But I'm actually going to go, because I'm a closure guy, I'm going to go Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 26.
This is the one he was preparing to get roasted on. I knew.
Yep. And not the match itself is obviously is what it is. But I watched
one way to put it.
Yep. But the lead in and everything building up to the match, getting to see Bret Hart come out, walk the aisle, get in the ring. I don't know, just meant a lot to me. Obviously,
rocking those jean shorts.
Yep. Oh yeah. But again, for closure purposes, like the end result is Vince McMahon tapping out to the sharpshooter at a WrestleMania. After Bret being gone for 13 years. Was it a good match? No. Bret Hart, though, I watched a show or an interview with him, and he talked about how it was an important match because of everything he had been through with, a stroke in his relationship with WWE. And when Bret walked away in 97, or how it ended, if you would have ever told me Bret would get in the ring again to perform, I would have said no way. So for me, the match itself, if we're going big picture, total production of it, the ending of Vince McMahon tapping out to the sharpshooter for me is what made my list. So I will let you guys carve that one up. But
why did they have to change his theme song when he came back? That was one of the dumbest moves. They changed Bret Hart's theme song. But yeah, I mean, you never thought you'd see this at a WrestleMania, right? I know, Kyle, you're preparing to throw some shade, so let me just do something here. Okay, go ahead.
I was very psyched when Bret came back in January of that year. I believe that was the first Raw of 2010. It was opposite Impact's Monday Night debut with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. Remember the return of the Monday Night Wars, and Impact did very shitty. I mean, real shitty. And speaking of shitty, we have this Bret Hart Vince McMahon match at WrestleMania 26. It was not good. There was a straightforward way to do this, and they elected to do it the WWE way, which is like convoluted build with the limo thing, and then Bruce Hart, like, oh, I know you Harts, you took the money up front. I just thought, like, and then like Bret just kicked Vince's ass forever. I know that was like kind of like what people wanted, but it got to a point where like I think Vince was getting sympathy by the end of the match, which was the last damn thing you expected. So look, the closure thing, okay, I get it. If you like Bret Hart, I just think it was not Bret's banner day, really, or Vince's banner day. It was had that match delivered on what it should have been in a lot of people's minds, that WrestleMania would be like a sneaky top 10 Mania. Because I really liked the build for that show, generally speaking. I just think that they outthought the room there. I know Meltzer was very adamant that all they needed to do was show Wrestling with Shadows. Like, just buy a 2-hour, like get a 2-hour block on USA, show Wrestling with Shadows, and that's the build of the match. You did not need to do weekly angles. I believe Meltzer's correct in that assertion. I don't know if you can get away with just, showing a documentary and that being the build, but I
actually, I'll add, I was actually at the Raw where the leg break happened. That was actually in Des Moines, Iowa in February. So that was my only time I ever saw Bret Hart live on a WWE show, but I was there that night. It was a winter weather advisory.
I was just gonna say, I had tickets to that show and I didn't go. We got about halfway there, me and my dad, and we turned around because the roads were so bad.
This fucking Iowa and its snow. I never would have known that until I did this podcast. I've never seen a state with so much snow.
Dude, I took the day off work to go to that show, and had great tickets, lower level, straight on from the ring. In fact, you could see our 2 empty seats throughout the broadcast.
Oh, that had
they were great
your
seats.
Ass.
Yeah, but we ended up going back to my apartment at the time and getting a pizza and watching it because we were worried, man. It was one of those things where the snow's, you could see it flying across the road. We're fishtailing, and I finally turned to he knew I wanted to go pretty bad, but I turned to my dad. I'm like, seriously, we can just turn around. We don't have to go all the way down. It's like a 2-hour drive from where I live. So a little under, but yeah.
Yeah, I returned home at 4:15 a.m. and Des Moines back to my hometown was about a 4.5-5 hour venture that night. So
wow.
I never understood why in that WrestleMania match, though, like when all the Harts start coming out, like why would Vince possibly think that they're going to go against Bret? Like it's so obvious that they're going to turn on Vince. Like, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense. I actually watched this not too long ago because it came up. I was just on YouTube late at night and WWE had put the whole match up, I think a couple of months ago. And it just kind of came up in my recommended. I'm like, I haven't seen this in a long time, and I clicked on it and watched most of it, not all of it, but yeah.
I'll say something positive about it. Low bar here, but I'm going to say something positive about it. It was not as big a clusterfuck as Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler the next year. Which was the all-time I'll think the room WrestleMania moment, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, that's the draft. You guys feel confident you're going to win?
Yeah.
We got some. I think this is going to be pretty competitive when it gets down to the fan voting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as far as matches that didn't get taken that I think deserve some honorable mention, we should reference Bret and our old buddy Jean-Pierre Lafitte, a match that we thought maybe go right. We talked about at the end of the last pod that maybe that would go. I thought that would be there. Bret and Lawler, Bret versus Doink / Jerry Lawler, I should say. It's SummerSlam 93 was a match I certainly would have considered taking, depending how the draft fell. And I'm going to be honest with you. Do you know what Bret Shaw match I like the most? Survivor Series 97.
Yeah.
What a brawl before reality sets in.
Yeah,
Just
it was a good
absolutely
match.
love it.
Yeah.
Considering how it got cut off and how that finish went, it still was almost a 4-star match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine not humping the Canadian flag before a match. And I love what does Jim Ross say? Well, I think Michael's not exactly endearing himself to the crowd here.
Yeah.
He says something ridiculous like that. Has anyone watched that on The Cock yet?
I have not. No.
Okay. I am wondering if they edited something out during the introduction of that match.
What's that?
The 7 fans who are all holding up signs next to each other.
I don't even remember that.
HBK equals.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And remember, the crowd, the camera zooms on it on the telecast,
okay.
and I'm like, "Hey, yo!"
Yeah.
I was meaning that's what a 1997, everybody.
Yeah. I had Bret and Taker from One Night Only on my list. I had Bret and Hakushi from the first In Your House. I had
the Raw match too.
Yeah. Hart Foundation and Demolition, SummerSlam 90. Hart Foundation and the Bulldogs from MSG in 85. What else? I think that's the only ones I had that for sure that weren't. I also considered Bret and Flair from Saskatoon just for historical significance. It's an all right match. It's not as good as most of these on the list, but I had it on the list as a possibility. So
Bret and Randy Savage, the Saturday Night's Main Event match.
Yeah.
Probably the best Saturday Night's Main Event match ever.
Yeah. And the Rockers match from Saturday Night's Main Event. I mean, if the ropes hadn't broke, who knows? But even as it was, decent for what they had to work with. But,
yeah, they had some good matches through the years.
Yeah. All right.
How do you not love this guy? By the
Lonesome Dove.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Lonesome Dove. What did you have any other memorabilia you're going to pull out there,
Oh,
Kyle?
no. Well, that's the Undertaker's on the cover there. So I just have these WWF magazines, man, from 91, 92, 94, and 95. Just 4 of them right there. You got the Intercontinental.
Oh, yeah.
There. You got the this is the Lonesome Dove. We just saw that one.
Mm-hmm.
We got Caged in Chi-Town.
That's a great one.
And this one, which discusses Bret Hart, hexed hitman suffering from Shango's spell.
Oh, no. Ooh.
Great cover, though. Great
That
cover.
is November night, right before he won the title.
I love the Bart Foundation WWF magazine. I have that one in storage from 97. That's a great one, too.
I inexplicably have every WWF magazine from 1993 and 1994.
I was just really hoping at the beginning somebody would say their introduction to Bret was The Simpsons.
Yeah.
By the way,
I've never heard of this guy before.
Just saw on this one, my parents' old address, or my current address was on this one. I hope nobody saw that. Please don't.
Kyle starts getting hate mail.
They're very wonderful people. Don't blame them for me. For God's sake.
Yeah. Oh, man. Ryan, it was fun to have you on. Like I said, we've been talking about doing this for months. I know you were looking forward to it. We were all looking forward to it.
Hope it lived up.
Yeah, hopefully
All
did
your
Bret Hart
hopes and
justice.
dreams.
Also want to thank Ryan for his support on Patreon. He's been a Patreon member for a long time. It's one of the best ways to support the show. I pump it every week, but again, do a bonus show every single week. Patreon.com/Top Rope Nation. In fact, Ryan is a main event tier level member of the Patreon page. One of the benefits of that is it allows you to come on the show a few times a year. That's not actually why he's on tonight. I think I'd already booked you for this before you even on that tier, and I would have anyways. But you're going to be back on the show again, is what I'm trying to say. So you guys can check out all the benefits of all of the tiers over on Patreon. And Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's fun. We'll catch you down the road, and yeah, had a blast. So thank you very much. It's never a good time to say goodbye, but probably now. So
yeah. How much do you think a WWF magazine cost on the newsstand in 1991?
$2.99.
$4.99.
Justin?
$125.
I believe Ryan was the closest, $2.50.
Oh, close.
What a deal. They did bump it up to $2.95 at least in 94.
Well, business was so hot, why wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
But I was saving with my subscription.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us this week for Top Rope Nation, the Bret Hart Fantasy Draft. We'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend and take care.